coffee crew. Welcome back, my besties. Hopefully you had a good week. A little quick, don't forget, before we get started, it will be off next week. I do a lot of the work on the weekends. So Easter weekend and then my birthday are falling in that same time frame I used to work on the show. And hell, I still need to recover from spring break. My house is a disaster. It smells like teenage boy, which is odd because they're always home, but yet, I don't know. And my kids are always a pain to get back on schedule. My air fryer foods portion of my freezer is running low. And I need a week. You understand. Also, and this is purely for curiosity and maybe the coffee cruise in entertainment, I got a My Heritage DNA kit with a worldwide audience spanning 34 countries. I figured it would be kind of fun to see where my genetics connects me to outside of, those tall family tales. I will report back if you care. Well, I'm going to report back either way, but if you care, you can look forward to it. Now, we have talked about small wins before. Back in season 1, we kind of covered what they are and why they matter. For those who've been on this journey with me the entire time, or those of you who have gone back and, listened to the older shows. So today we're going to come at it from a slightly different angle. And it's going to be less about defining them and more about what do we do with them. Specifically, the ones that happen on the days that are not great nor terrible, just Tuesday. Because those days matter too. And sometimes the small wins that happen in them are actually more important than the big ones. Okay, so we've talked before about hard days, the ones where something horrible happens and you're just trying to get through it without spilling coffee all over yourself. And we talked about the great days, the milestones, the breakthroughs, the moments worth celebrating out loud with a cheer and a little dance that causes your teenager to groan. But I want to talk about the days in between. We need to remember that 90% of our lives is actually those in-between days. Not in the how is this my life crisis. Not in a dance-a-jig celebration. Just a normal, my coffee went cold again Tuesday. Just the ordinary grinding motion, day to day. It's not remarkable. It's not falling apart. And we've talked about this before. Some people do their best work in the peaks, the high points. Others in the valleys, the low points. I am this definition of a valley girl. Give me a crisis and I am in my wheelhouse. But a lot of us don't know what to do with that baseline. We can't trust it. We're waiting for the other shoe to drop. Or for something worth celebrating to happen before we can let ourselves feel like everything's okay. And that's kind of the unspoken danger of only counting the big moments. It creates these long stretches where it feels like nothing's happening and you're tired and a little depressed. The days drag, your mood drags, your motivation is just out the window. And when all actuality, things are happening all the time, you're just not noticing them and you're not counting them. Small victories is what makes the middle days tolerable. they're kind of the thing that keeps you moving when there's no peak in sight and nothing's on fire. But it's equally important to note that you don't have to be in a peak moment for something to count. Getting through a hard conversation counts. Finishing a crochet row counts. Overcoming your extreme phone anxiety and calling to make that appointment you've been putting off for months counts. Even if it's just choosing to get out of bed on a day where staying in it would have been easier. That especially counts. The middle days are not fillers. They're most of your life. So start counting them. All right, let's move on to our stitch happens. And if my cats, almost like they read a cue card, have decided that now's the perfect time to run amok. Which, fair during a stitch happen stories, kind of is. So I'm all about the deal. Buying in bulk to save money, especially in this economy and having 2 teenage boys with hollow leg syndrome. So a local butcher shop had these 40-pound boxes of bulk chicken breast on sale. Now, the reason they're cheap is because they come in these 10-pound bags. They're somewhat trimmed, but that's it. They're not packaged. They're not sealed. You kind of got to do that yourself. So I ordered 2 boxes because, again, 2 teenage boys, and chicken is like the only meat that both of them eat. 80 pounds of chicken. And the plan was simple. I was going to go pick them up, clean them up, trim them down into 1 chicken breast a piece because they come connected, and vacuum seal everything. And yes, I am one of those people with a vacuum sealer. And if you are on the edge of getting one, 10 out of 10, can't recommend it enough. And I was going to stock the meat side of my big freezer. Practical, efficient, a solid adult financial decision. Yeah. In a normal my coffee has gone cold day, nothing went according to plan. I had 2 separate downpours on the way to pick up the chicken. Now, I know to most people that's not a big deal, but I do have PTSD. I've had quite a few car accidents. So the weather changing when I'm driving, it can make me a little twitchy. But your girl made it and got home a little proud of herself. So I get my tools, get my vacuum sealer set up, my scissors, my headphones, because it is, if you've never broken down 80 pounds of chicken, it's a long process. And I get to work. I am about halfway through the first box when my kitchen shears just come apart. Not dull, not struggling, 0 warning. They fully disassemble in my hand mid-chicken. I had 1 piece of scissors in each hand. The center bolt just snapped. Now I have 60 pounds of chicken to process. And I'm wondering how I'm going to break all of these down. Because it's a pain to cut raw chicken with a knife. Well, maybe not if you're a chef, but I'm not. So I did what any reasonable person would do. And I promoted an old pair of craft scissors to poultry duty. The ones I use in the kitchen to kind of like open bags with. Not my yarn cutting one. Those are sacred. Nobody touches those. So the old crafting scissors were drafted into service that day, whether they wanted to be or not. We struggled through and finished all of the first box, and I'm down towards the end of box 2. I'll pause for effect here. I completely ran out of vacuum seal bags. Yeah, because of course I did. Because, it's gone every which way but straight the entire time. Why change now? So now I have about 10 chicken breasts left. And I'm not running to Walmart. So they go into individual Ziploc freezer bags until Amazon can deliver more vacuum sealer bags the next day. Because I'm done. 2 downpours, broken shears, chicken shears, meat shears, whatever you want to call them. Craft scissors are now cosplaying as chicken shears. The Ziploc bags are cosplaying as vacuum sealer bags. But we made it through. And at the end of it, with what I already had in the freezer, I had about 100 pounds of chicken in my big freezer. And that's a win. And no one will tell me otherwise. It did not look glamorous. Not a single thing about it was smooth. But it got done. The freezer is full. And I better not hear there's nothing to eat for the next year. Sometimes your small win is just getting things done despite everything trying to get in your way. Okay. So we know when to look for the wins. Let's talk about what we do when someone else tries to give us one. Because that's where a lot of us fumble. Somebody compliments you in your work, anything. And your immediate reflex is to deflect. Oh, it was nothing. Anyone can do this. I just got lucky. I do this constantly with my crochet. Someone tells me something I've made is beautiful and I'm talented. And my first instinct is to say, well, anyone can learn how to do it, so it's not that impressive. As if the hours I spent and the skill that I slowly taught myself do not count because the skill is theoretically learnable by somebody else, which is pretty much every skill. Some skills require an innate talent, but craftsmanship, that comes with practice. Every skill is theoretically learnable. And yet, for some reason, our brain says that logic basically disqualifies everything. So why do we do it? Is it because we're a glutton for punishment? A few reasons. You don't want to seem braggy. This is not to be gender biased here, but this is especially for women. We're conditioned early on that owning your accomplishments is arrogant. We're taught that by boosting ourselves up, we're putting other women down. We live in a system, here in America at least, probably other places too, but that has always wanted women to seem small. Imposter syndrome is another one. The internal voice that says you got lucky and you will be found out eventually. You're faking. You're a pretender. And they're going to call you a liar to your face. There's the fear of follow-up expectation. If you admit it was good, now you have to do it again and again. And this task that was once a small hill becomes Mount Everest. And then there's the comparison problem, which social media has made significantly worse. AI generated images, even harder. You do the thing, you're proud of the thing, and then someone says, well, it doesn't look like that picture. That someone is probably usually Earl. For our new listeners, that's the name of my self-doubt voice, if you don't know who Earl is. Things made by hand almost always have some sort of imperfection. It might not always be noticeable, but it's there. If you don't believe me, ask the person who made it. They will always be able to find it. And a machine can produce something polished in seconds. And it starts to feel like your handmade, hand-learned thing is not worth as much. I'm here to tell you that is a lie your brain is telling you. The hours you put in are real. That skill that you worked hard to build is real. And it's actually those imperfections that make it worth more. You know, anybody can have a cookie cutter thing. That's why they're so cheap. But the thing that you made with that one imperfection is unique. And even if you make 15 more, each one will have a different imperfection, making each one unique in its own way. It's also worth noting there's a difference between arrogance and letting people celebrate you. Arrogance is putting yourself on a pedestal. Look at me. Look what I can do. No one can do it as good as me. Letting a compliment land is just receiving something that was offered. You don't have to make a big production of it. You can just say thank you and mean it. And I'm going to say this, and I struggle with this all the time. I genuinely do not know how to take a compliment. I feel, embarrassed, uncomfortable. But the solution is just to say thank you and mean it. That's it. That's the whole movie. Roll the credits. And sometimes your small win can actually just be giving a win to someone else. Noticing what someone did and naming it out loud. And that can be its own kind of victory. It costs you nothing, and it means everything to the person receiving it. That kindness juju works both ways. All right, coffee crew, it's Brews News time. As always, I date stamp these. Everything I'm sharing is current as of April 1st. Happy April Fool's Day. 6:41 a.m. The news moves fast, and I want you to know how fresh my coffee is. Story 1, again, as always, Epstein update. So Pam Bondi's deposition is still set for April 14th, and the subpoena still stands, but there's been no commitment from her whether or not she's going to comply. All she says is, I will follow the law. American Oversight filed in federal court Monday seeking records about how Pam Bondi oversaw the Epstein file review process. Specifically, they want those records before her April 14th deposition, so Congress can actually hold her accountable during the hearing. Massey and Khanna have acknowledged the law has no enforcement mechanism. You know, the DOJ is not going to investigate the DOJ. If they did their job, then an investigation wouldn't be needed. And that's kind of the loop we're stuck in right now. Meanwhile, there were mentions in the file on what the prison officials were actually doing the night Epstein died. That story is still developing. And we're watching it. Epstein survivors have now filed suit against both the Justice Department and Google over the release of their private identifying information that was in the files. Information that was supposed to be redacted and was not. And it's kind of also worth noting here that the leaked files were hosted in Google's document viewer, and those pages displayed ads. So while it's not like they charged people to view the files, they still made money from people using it to view the files because they made ad revenue. These are victims. They've been through enough. The fact that their names ended up in the public because of a redaction failure is another outrage on top of what they've already suffered. Don't look away. They're already trying to get away with so much while we're watching. It's hard to imagine what they were doing when we weren't watching. As always, justice.gov/Epstein if you want to go look at the files yourself. Story 2, I want to talk about the No Kings protest that happened Saturday because it deserves more than a headline. There were over 3,300 events, all 50 states, every congressional district. Organizers estimate 8 to 9 million people showed up, making it the largest single-day protest in American history. This was not a city bubble moment. This was the whole country showing up. And if you went, that is a win worth watching. Meanwhile, I saw some clips and photos from the CPAC event, which was the same weekend, and it was quite empty. And the last story I want to talk about is the TSA and Department of Home Security shutdown. There's a lot of noise about who's to blame here, so let's talk facts. Department of Homeland Security has been unfunded since December 14th. Over 40 days. 61,000 TSA workers missed multiple paychecks. Nearly 500 quit. Thousands more have called out, causing record airport wait times, some of them over 4 hours. The Senate passed a bipartisan bill early Friday to fund much of DHS, except for ICE and parts of Border Patrol, which is what the Democrats have been demanding as a condition. It's also worth noting here that ICE already got a significant funding boost in the bill that they called the Big Beautiful Bill. I hate calling it that. House Republicans rejected the Senate deal hours later and passed their own 60-day version that funds all of DHS, including ICE. The Senate Democrats have told them it is dead on arrival. Both chambers then just up and left for 2 weeks of recess. So essentially, they're holding the TSA workers hostage to push for more funding for ICE. Now, Trump did sign an executive order on Friday to pay TSA workers in the meantime. With paychecks, the people did start getting them this past Monday. And there's some legal debate on if he even has the legal authority to do that, because Congress is supposed to hold the power of the purse. Others are asking if he could do this executive order to pay them all along, why did you make the TSA workers suffer as long as they did? So the sticking point is ICE funding. And now Republicans are also trying to attach the ever unpopular SAVE Act voter ID requirement to the budget bill. And there seems to be this ongoing pattern of adding unpopular standalone legislation to funding bills to try and force it through when they know they don't have the votes. Nobody's agreed. 61,000 workers went 6 weeks without a paycheck. Lawmakers argued and then left town. And I kind of want to note here, if you haven't been paying attention, I get it, but Congress has taken so many vacations. It's ridiculous. It really is. Like, it seems like every time I turn around, it's on the news that the House is on a break. 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 But those are the facts. So let's take No Kings as our win and keep up the good fight. All right, let's bring it home. My coffee's getting cold. It's almost time to wake my kids up, and I definitely can't record after that. So, small victories compound. And this is not a motivational Pinterest board language. It's just how it actually works. Every time you finish something, show up for something, push through something, you're adding one small piece to a version of yourself that finishes things. That shows up. That does the damn thing. That pushes through all the chaos and the noise to get shit done. That identity builds up slowly and it builds out of small moments over a long period of time. The snowball effect is real. Or in the case of my husband, the sock pile by his chair that builds up one pair at a time is real. So use it intentionally and, not to drive your spouse crazy, though. What it actually looks like to honor a small win without making it a whole production, it doesn't have to be a parade or balloons or a post with 1 million likes. It can be as simple as acknowledging it yourself. Say it out loud. Or even just in your own head so you can get Earl to shut the fuck up. I did that. That was hard. And I did it. Watch me go. And just sit with it for a second before you move on to the next thing. That's enough. You don't need a trophy. You just need to stop skipping past these moments like it didn't happen. Take a few seconds to yourself and smile into your coffee. And the people in your life who notice your wins, let them. Stop swatting the compliments away and pretending it was nothing. Let it land. Notice theirs back. That exchange is what builds the kind of relationship that holds. If you both just keep lifting each other up, you'll be up the mountain before you know it. A life made of small victories is not a small life. The chicken got processed. The episode got recorded. The row got finished. The call got made. Sometimes you just gotta pop the coffee in the microwave and get through it. None of those things are gonna make the highlight reel. But all of them are the actual textures of a life being lived to the fullest. And that's not nothing. That's everything. Even if it comes with 100 pounds of chicken and a huge ass pile of socks. All right, it's time for Shuffle Happens. Take a nice deep breath. Let the noise settle. You showed up today and gave me my small win, so let me give you some grounding in return. This week's card is the 6 of Wands. Close your eyes if you can and let the image find you. The scene is inside a broken castle. The floor is covered in rubble. In the center is a large stained glass window. It's letting in a light that is so bright it's almost blinding. Like the sun has decided this room was worth shining into, regardless of what happened to the walls. In the sun's rays, you can see dust floating in the air. And at the edges of the scene are 2 strong pillars standing tall. In front of the window stands a white horse rearing back on its hind legs. Powerful, alive, present. On its back is a young woman in a red dress. Her skirt flowing. Her top is covered in silver armor. Her white blonde hair moves behind her, flowing with the rhythm of the skirt. And despite all of it, her face is calm. One hand grips the reins, steady. The other holds up a fist, not in anger, but to counter her weight, to keep her balance, to stay in control, to stay steady. No panic, no fear, just quiet knowing that she is the one in charge of the horse. The castle is broken, the dust is still settling, and she is here anyway. Upright, grounded, and present in that win. Upright, the 6 of Wands is victory, recognition, the moment after the effort where you get to be seen in what you accomplish. Not the biggest one in your life, just a real one. This card is not about perfection. The castle is still rubble. It's about showing up anyway and knowing you control the horse, not the other way around. It's letting that light hit you, staying steady in the wind instead of immediately rushing the horse to the next thing. Reversed, this card is the wind that goes unrecognized by others or by yourself. The Six of Wands reversed asked, where are you not letting yourself be seen? Where are you deflecting recognition that was offered with a kind heart? Where are you dismissing something that cost you real effort because you think it didn't look impressive enough from the outside or compared to some unrealistic standard that you set up for yourself? Because the rubble on the floor does not cancel the light coming through the window. The broken walls do not cancel the fact that she is still on that horse, still upright, still here. That horse is rearing, but she never once loses control. That is the win, not the perfect castle. The woman still standing in it, knowing she's got this. So carry that card with you for the next 2 weeks as a reminder to look for your own small wins. All right, coffee crew. Take this with you. The middle days are grinding. They count. Small wins always count. The thing you did today that nobody else saw, that counts too. Let those wins land. Say thank you when someone offers recognition. And notice the wins in the people around you. Remember, a life built out of small wins is not a small life. It's a robust, full life. It's the whole thing. Quick note here, while I'm off for my birthday week, I'm going to plan on a separate Instagram and Facebook pages for the show. Kind of just been using my personal accounts, but for my kids, I keep my privacy settings pretty strict, so it makes it harder to make it public for you guys to find me. And I think the coffee crew has grown enough that the show deserves its own little space. You know, expanded just a little. I want to be able to connect with you guys in real time, not just through these weekly episodes. So watch for that. Again, I promise to try. You know me. We'll see what chaos comes while I'm off. I swear, sometimes I think life just kind of like holds things back until I go, hey, I'm going to take a break. And it goes, great timing. Let's fall apart. And as always, coffee crew, keep your stitches sassy, your coffee strong, and your spirit grounded.